All right, welcome back to another session here on FoodTech21. My name is Paul Barron. I'm your moderator today. And as we look more and more into technology as it's shifting, one of the big ones that we probably get, I would say, some of the most questions on is this whole idea of touchless and where is it going to be in the future. So today's topic, enhancing touchless interactions. And with me, I've got two great experts. I've got Jack Hogan, who is the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Mashgin. And then also with me is Anthony Montalbano. Let me get that. I want to say that differently, Anthony, but great last name, by the way. Founder and CEO of Backboard. Great to have both of you on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's jump into it for each of your companies. And Jack, let's start with you. Just a little bit about Mashgin and kind of what you guys do for our audience who maybe has never heard or seen your product.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mashgin, we're basically one of the leaders in a completely touchless checkout. So we use computer vision and artificial intelligence to identify all the items that you're checking out with in your basket in under a second. So we generally started out in the cafe market, your Aramarks, your Compasses. And over the last, say, 6 to 9 months, we've really ramped up deployments across food service and airports, as well as C-store.
Right.
If you do take a gander at our product, you'll see it kind of looks like a robot that's trying to give you a hug. We basically are using our AI algorithm to identify items that don't have barcodes as well. So it can even identify plates of food, like your taco meal or something along those lines.
Yeah, I saw some of the videos, pretty impressed with the way that you utilize it. And I want to get into that technology and kind of how that works. Anthony, let's jump to you a little bit about Backboard. You're more behind the scenes technology for operators. Talk to me about what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. So just a little background here. About 10 years ago, my team and I were instrumental in the development of the e-commerce experience for Domino's Pizza, including the pizza tracker. And we worked on a lot of different restaurant technology projects for many different companies. And as we've seen tools progress, like Slack-like tools, for people behind the desk, they became more integral in the way businesses was being done. But we realized that there's a missing link with the restaurant staff, which is really the largest workforce in the restaurant industry. And so this problem became further exacerbated in franchise and multi-unit organizations where the workforce is exponentially larger. And so questions like, how do you inform 50 stores to throw away the lettuce because there's E. coli in it? Or how do you let the restaurant staff know when there's going to be a surge in orders? These are the type of problems that we were trying to determine. And we've created a platform that is really revolutionizing the way communication will happen with these employees.
Yeah. Well, and I think employee communication is going to be a critical, it's going to be, if it's not already, a very critical aspect of the industry. Moving forward, especially with the training aspects and some of the things and challenges that we've seen even pre-COVID, I think this is just only going to ramp up. So I think you guys are in a good place at the right time. Let's get into kind of the topic for the session today, and that is, of course, enhancing touchless service. And Jack, I want to kind of start with you. In regards to kind of the technology, in the videos that I saw things where people were putting on fruit, raw fruit. So obviously that's not going to have a barcode or a UPC. How is this going to work in terms of food that maybe is already pre-made? Say I have a salad or a bowl or something of that nature. I pop it onto that. How does your technology work in identifying that?
Yeah, well, it's been a long journey for us, right? So Mashgin's been around since 2013. So essentially, we've been trying to solve that exact problem for about 7 years. In the last 5 years, we really picked it up and nailed it. The way that we do it actually is we use our patented technology, which combines AI as well as understanding 3D space on our basically 2 by 3 foot square platform where you'd put down, say, a cafe tray or just your items. So what we're doing is we're just using multiple camera angles, and we're able to identify the items based on their individual characteristics. If you're going into like salads or items that are prepackaged in a bowl, in some cases the machine can just read the words on the label.
Right.
So it just really depends on the differentiation between the packaging. We also have a couple other tricks and tips that we use, including AR codes, which stands for like augmented reality codes,
Yeah.
that our machine can pick up that have been integrated into labels. For example, we'd use that if there's sandwiches that are all wrapped in a white paper, because it's not an X-ray machine, we like to say.
Interesting. Yeah. But so, okay, so these are cameras. Is it like a LiDAR system of some sort where it's bouncing off an image and registering back to the technology itself?
So we're not using LiDAR. We're really just using many camera angles. And the reason why our system works and many others have to be assisted by people on the back end is simply just the longevity that we've been working on this problem, and the fact that we always targeted a solution that wasn't fully room scale, right? Our goal was always to build the product that we think will lead people towards using computer vision for checkout. We actually recently just passed 11 million total transactions using computer vision. We believe that we have the most total computer vision transactions of any company in the world, actually.
Wow, okay. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about how that's going to implement in some of the different categories and sectors of the industry. Before we jump to that, Anthony, I want to talk to you in going the direction of this whole touchless kitchen, this whole touchless environment that many operators are really trying to do now. I had a chance to talk to an operator in Arizona last week, and they're literally going through their entire kitchen and redesigning things. Physically redesigning to handle staff being able to have the fewest points of having to touch something. That's huge, I think. How does your product kind of implement and feed into that whole strategy?
Yeah, definitely. So Backboard is essentially a large TV monitor that's mounted in the kitchen. And the screen displays important information, such as if there's a surge of orders or what the current promos are. And restaurant employees can interact with the content on the Backboard screen using a hands-free, just a gesture experience by waving a single hand to get to content.
Okay.
And this allows them to access more content beyond to what they see on the screen without actually touching it. So employees don't have to remove gloves or replace their gloves to access the content. They can view, content as a team to improve the speed and readiness of what's being shared. We've even actually created a foot pedal solution that allows the employees to just access content with their feet in the event that their hands are full. So our touchless experience is providing a layer of safety in a shared environment where cross-contamination and messes can result in preventable issues. So we really do believe that we have a really cool solution that allows people in the kitchen to access important, time-sensitive, and critical information without actually ever touching a screen.
Yeah, for sure. Have you guys looked at maybe developing a KDS system for this? Because that would be a natural evolution, especially if you've got a gesture model to where they could manage tickets and be able to advance to the next order, especially for cook to order like fast casual, which uses a KDS in many cases. Are you guys going in that direction at all?
Yeah, actually, what we really do believe is integrations are going to be very integral to the way Backboard is going to work in the kitchens. And so being able to integrate into POS services or other online ordering services like DoorDash or like Uber Eats, these are going to be really valuable. So, I think as we continue moving forward with Backboard, that we're going to be integrating with a lot of other services and really enhancing those other platforms that restaurants are already familiar with.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned, Anthony, you mentioned Uber Eats. That kind of connects you out to the front of operations and how consumers are interfacing with all sorts of food service device and systems today. We've seen curbside, we've seen takeout advancement, which is those queue systems where they're kind of isolating pickups. I've seen some of these pickup systems that are creating almost an antibacterial system, these new coatings for kiosk and point of sale. There's a lot of concern from the consumer side. Your thoughts on how long this stays around in the industry? Is this something that you think consumers are they're gonna just expect from here forward that we need a lot more sanitation, a lot more touchless in terms of how we interface with restaurants and retail brands.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, especially when it comes to food, that, the safety and hygiene and cleanliness is very important. And so, the more that we can provide in those type of solutions is just going to continue to push those cleaner environments towards, food sanitary and cleanliness.
Is that something that is going to, you think that's going to, like for instance, your product, if a consumer kind of knew what was happening in the on Backboard in the back of house, they may look at that as, this is a huge safety benefit. I would rather come back to this restaurant. Are you seeing any kind of interaction with operators that are trying to convey that in terms of a message to their customers?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think, if we go back to, this past spring when, COVID became serious, businesses were trying to roll out curbside services as quickly as possible. Many of the restaurants, this was a big change in protocol, and Backboard, can make rolling out these procedures nearly instantaneous. The quicker and more consistent we can inform employees about how new procedures work, the more confident the customers are going to feel with the restaurant that they, quote, have their act together. So we're really trying to streamline those processes.
Yeah. Jack, and I think, for your particular solution, throughput, if you look at the restaurant industry, there's, for the most part, QSR, limited service, the platforms like food courts, healthcare, all those kind of things, line queues are a big deal. The problem right now is line queues have that social distancing aspect, which obviously creates a line queue that should be 50 to 100 feet to now 250 to 300 feet. That's a problem because you don't, in typically most cases, you don't have room for that. So how does your system, your technology deal with that line queue in terms of, expediting the line itself, going through transaction speed, getting to the next person quicker? What are some of the things you guys are seeing in that area?
Well, let's look at it from two perspectives, because we have basically several different discrete groups that we serve, right? So there's food service in the C-store space. There's food service in the QSR space, where we work with HMS Host in their airports. And then there's also the hospital cafes, business dining cafes, and things like that. So our bread and butter started out in the cafe space. So essentially what we've done there is just complete the entire ecosystem to remove those queues basically in every direction. Along with the fact that you could check out on our product in under 10 seconds, which really speeds up the line. We've also put out integrated tablet and mobile ordering that also works with our system. So you can order your food, for example, ahead of time and have a QR code on your phone. But then when you're at the point of checkout, you can also add in a Coke and a Snickers bar that you got as your impulse buy at the end of your order. So that's kind of how we tackled it from that perspective. When you talk about the lines in QSR restaurants, this is something that we really worked diligently with HMS on. So we're in like a Pret and a CPK as well as a Maggiano's. So what they've done in those locations to help divvy up the queue is create a grab and go section, right? If I want a cheese, pepperoni, or combo pizza, all I have to do is walk up to the grab and go section from the CPK, pull that pizza out, and go check myself out on the Mashgin machine, right? So that's really helped reduce queue times there by segregating the customers that want something immediately versus ones that want to have a made-to-order solution. And then lastly, in the C-store space, everything is pretty much grab and go, right? So we've trained in all those grab and go items, so they're able to basically, they can train new items in about 2 minutes on our machine just by taking a couple pictures of it on the machine, and then they're ready to start selling it. So consumers can walk in, grab their 4 or 5 drink items, and then grab their sandwich, plop it on the machine, and check out. And we see that our machine checks out generally twice as fast to 4 times as fast as a normal cashier. So lines really don't stand a chance.
I like it. Lines don't stand a chance. Jack, are you concerned any with the issues of accepting cash? Because we are going to see some consumers that are kind of intent on using cash. Is this something that we're going to just see a split in terms of, hey, the cash line's over here and debit or credit line is over here?
Well, cash is the law, right? We have to make sure that we're always taking care of unbanked consumers. It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't favor those who don't have banks. So we've evaluated cash integration solutions, and it's something that we're open to. However, cash is the slowest form of checkout. If you think
Sure,
about
that's my point. Yeah.
the person having to dig for 3 nickels and 2 pennies in the cash drawer is going to take your transaction time from, say, 10 seconds to 45 seconds.
Yeah.
So we don't have that solution live in the field right now, but we have built it in our lab. And we have it up our sleeve if anyone really presses us on it.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm hope that that's going to be the case, because more and more we are seeing, we've had some fast casual concepts that tried to go to a cashless, operation. Some cities and municipalities actually pushed back on it and said, hey, that's, you can't do that, because now you're, even going down to the ADA requirements, which is you're limiting access. So I would see that being at some point, something you would definitely have to address. I want to move to you, Anthony, and kind of in the same vein, and that is dealing with speed. The food service industry now, because of so much takeout, to go, curbside pickup, takeout in general, where people are coming into the restaurant or to the facility and grabbing an online order, speed is really a key thing. When you look at your product with Backboard, is this something that you guys have done any kind of time studies, especially for drive-through? Because I see drive-through could be a huge market for this. Any kind of time studies, because obviously that is a big factor right now in being able to get throughput up. Where are you guys on that?
Yeah, 100%. We totally understand the importance of getting out orders to customers in a timely manner. And so we've actually kind of enhanced employee productivity through Backboard. For example, we correlate sales data with weather, and we can predict when there's order surges. We know in the QSR pizza industry that there's typically an increase of 20 to 30% of orders when it rains, and so Backboard can tell employees to prep more boxes and replenish the make lines, so for these surges, so they can help cut down the time it takes for the product to get to customers and really increase throughput. So nobody wants 90-minute waits for a pizza order, so we're really trying to help cut down those type of timelines.
All right. Okay. So both of you seem to be addressing the speed scenario, which is I think is going to be a factor as we move forward, because it's the sales volumes have almost flipped upside down, where you used to have restaurants and operations where somebody would come in, order at a somewhat reasonable pace, sit down, queue that, eat their food. You didn't need that high volume of throughput that you're dealing with today. So I think that is going to be a huge factor for both of your companies. So you guys are poised. Let's look at the technology itself. And when you think about, and this is kind of for both of you, so I'd like to get both of you to kind of answer this. When you think about integrations, point of sale, and I'll just use point of sale as the number one, because I started my career in the restaurant industry working with point of sale at Microsoft, and I know how hard it was to integrate with these companies. And then also integrate with all these other different kind of companies out there, whether it's third-party delivery, catering systems and platforms, all these others that are essentially somewhat on-demand web platforms or marketplaces today, and moving down into hardware. How are you guys dealing with that integration process? Do you find it challenging? Are we seeing an opening now in the industry where things are getting better? What are both of your thoughts on that? So we can kind of start with you, Anthony.
Yeah, of course. Integrations are always can be difficult depending on those partners. From us, what we're doing is we're using our existing customers that we're working with and the platforms that our existing customers are using, and starting with those integrations first. Backboard is a relatively new company. We actually just launched last year in 2020. And so we're still kind of working through a lot of those integrations. But our team does have a lot of experience integrating with other POS services, in the years past, and we've been talking with a lot of these companies and building partnerships, because ultimately, Backboard is providing additional value to the systems that already exist. So so far, the conversations we've been having are good, but there's definitely, we do envision that it will be difficult with some services. But at the end of the day, our goal is to increase and improve the way that these orders come through and how the employees are able to react to those things.
Yeah. How about with you, Jack? You probably move into back of house systems where you're having to deal with supply chain management, knowing what you have in inventory there so that it can go through your retail system. Are you finding any challenges, or are things kind of opening up for you guys?
Yeah, those supply chain management systems have been one that we have circled for a while. We haven't knocked out any integrations with them yet. We have been successfully integrating with all sorts of different POS providers. But one of the things that we find really makes like an innovative and strong partner is a lot of our partners have actually built out middleware layers because they're using technology that's, say, on-prem previously. And that technology is now upgraded to being allegedly cloud-based.
Right.
But the partners that we've been able to scale the fastest with have already built out different middleware integrations and webhooks that allow our product to jump seamlessly into the space. And then in stadiums, we're really seeing them just take a look at Mashgin and say, this is a standalone POS system. Just leave it as a standalone, and we'll drop the data in later. But our general company policy is we'd like to integrate with anyone and everyone just to make our customers' lives easier. So we've done about 10 major integrations at this point.
Interesting. Jack, I want to continue on that line with your technology there for a second. We've been having several AI companies that are implementing robotics and autonomous kitchens on our shows. And I'm finding a lot of different technologies are existing out there. And I think we are on maybe the precipice of a huge release of this technology into the wild, which would be autonomous restaurants. I mean, Amazon Go, of course, has been kind of the leader in this space when they did their Go store there in Seattle. Is this something that you guys are looking at in terms of actually integrating now with physical plants out there, dropping your point of sale system in to a potentially fully autonomous restaurant? Is that something in the future for you, or are you doing it now?
Can you clarify fully autonomous? Do you mean we obviously
no
still
people
making the food, right? Or no
people, fully robotic?
Oh, we haven't really run across any of those folks that have implemented robots in the kitchens yet. However, I think that some of the things that we're doing with HMS, I mentioned the CPK, I think that dynamic could work together.
Interesting.
Maybe we could team up with Backboard and figure out a way to work with the pizza delivery opportunity, because that's an easy one for us. We can always identify, hey, what kind of pizza that is and how much it costs quickly using computer vision. So I do see that could be a way to go in the future. Although I personally think that I like going to a restaurant, sitting down and eating my meal. So I'm crossing my fingers that COVID just was here in 2021.
Yeah, slides away and everything snaps back, and we're back in Kansas. I like that. Okay, which is going to be an interesting thing. Last question for each of you very quickly. If you were picking one technology this year that you say, hey, this is going to be a hit, what would it be to you, Anthony? Other than your own.
Oh, wow. One technology. Oh, man. This is, I mean, I do think, very much to like a Mashgin experience. I think there's going to be a lot of, I think the kiosk experiences are going to really start to become, I know that they've been around for nearly 10 years, but I feel like, with what we've seen with COVID, this is going to accelerate the growth of those type of platforms.
Right.
I really think like, when we talk about food customization, pizza is probably the most customizable food, product that you can do. And so when people are making different changes because of dietary restrictions or just personal preferences, it can be much more complicated to track those things. And so allowing the customer to directly input that information is really going to kind of cut those, parts of the conversation down. So I do really think that there's going to be a lot more ability to, I think that's why things like Uber Eats and DoorDash work, is because, it allows the customer to really dictate what they're looking for, as opposed to relaying it through more people. So I think that those tools are definitely going to grow.
Over to you, Jack. Which technology is going to be the breakout one for the year?
I think that one that's going to take off here is in the financial space, right? Mashgin's experimented a little bit with like card tokenization. And
Okay.
in our laboratory, we see like less than half a second to pay for items. So I think that
Nice.
card tokenization, digital wallets, as well as digital identity, right? One of the things that we are struggling with and really hoping that someone will solve is allowing a person's identity or age to be verified from like a digital wallet
Right.
or something of that sort. I know Apple's probably working on that. So I'm hoping that the digital identity as well as card tokenization can really take off this year.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, how that could be a huge deterrent in the C-store application, because, you know, somebody comes and wants to buy beer, you know.
Exactly.
That's a problem.
Every day.
I like it.
We've got a few solutions where they can scan their ID and such like that, but it's all based on state by state legality. Nobody's
Sure.
really built an overarching solution, and where they have, it still just lives in a gray area. And
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar
Yeah.
companies do not like to bet on gray areas. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Wait till we get to marijuana legalization and we have that going out in retail stores. Yeah, that'll really, you know, get things dicey. Guys, it's been great having both of you on today. Thank you so much for stopping in on the session. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. You guys are tuning in here on FoodTech21. Make sure, and on the next session, use our chat window and our chat interface. You can use that whether it's on your mobile device or on your computer, laptop, or desktop. That's the best way for you to kind of engage, ask us questions, get more information. If you want more links to these two companies, these two technologies, we'll be dropping those in to the chat windows for you to be able to get more information. And of course, make sure and spread the word out there about FoodTech21. We're going to continue to do more and more sessions throughout the year. And make sure and stay tuned right here for our next session. We'll catch you soon.